On May 6th, I took on the Riverlands 100 in Turner, Maine. I had my whole family there. My wife Lauren, she was doing her thing. She is a phenomenal crew chief, and I'm lucky to have her there anytime I need her. So thank you, Lauren. I had my mother-in-law, and she was keeping those kids in line, so a big shout out to you, Susie. I had Miles and Quinley, those are the Rugrats. I had Grizzly, my fluffy dog, and they were all there to support.
What's going on? It's 5:35 in the morning, and we're at the start of Riverlands 100. You can see right over here, we got the starting line. That's the start finish. There's a drop bag area. We're gonna go get after it today and gonna have a great time, and then it's gonna suck, and then it's gonna be great again.
I approached the day like it was 2 consecutive 50-mile races. For some reason, it just seemed more attainable in my head that way, so that's what I went with. I knew I could cover a loop of that course in about 5 hours, but I didn't want to push the pace too hard. I had run it a couple weeks beforehand with Gordon, and that guy's a beast. He knocked out a loop of the relay race and then supported one of his friends the whole day and even paced an additional 50 miles. So he got 70 miles that day. And the friend he paced was Missy, and she crushed the race. She's a badass.
My mile 75.
Quick story time. This morning, the shower, the heat didn't work, and I thought I got all the soap off of me because it was ice cold, but I didn't. So I thought I was really ashy, but it's just dried soap. At least the sweat's gonna melt that off. We're about half a minute to start, and we're gonna go get it.
4, 3, 2, 1, go!
For loop 1, the sun was out to play. It got wicked hot, at least to me. I started to cramp up a bit, and I just had to manage through that. I ended up holding it off pretty well, but I did run out of water from Middle Earth to Conant and from Conant back to Middle Earth. So I decided I was going to need to carry an extra bottle with me. After leaving Middle Earth and heading back to the start finish, I called Lauren and I was like, hey, let's set a timer. I want to be in and out in 3 minutes. Can we knock out a few items? And I wanted an extra bottle with me. I wanted to change my shirt and a cool towel just to kind of get my temperatures back to where I needed them to be. And yeah, I covered that loop in roughly 5 hours and 40 minutes.
about 4 miles in, and so far, of course, a little muddy, but I'm enjoying it. Check out this view. We're a little bit past 6 miles in. For that aid station, I ended up getting a pickle and drank through 1 Gatorade bottle. Right now, we're at the summit of Bradford Mountain, or Bradford Hill, not really sure, but definitely pretty. Downhill time. Miles in to Riverlands 100. Feeling right, taking my time, and having fun. This is what 20 miles into the Riverlands 100 looks like. Just left Middle Earth aid station, and so far we're on pace, but I did run out of water. There's 2 decently long stretches. One's 8 miles and the other is 7.5 miles between aid. And it's gotten hot, so we're gonna adjust our plans and keep moving. But check out that river, how pretty. Good stuff.
The second loop introduced its own series of challenges. The course had been flooded a few days beforehand, but a bunch of the amazing volunteers went and tried to drain out as much of it as possible. So the first loop was relatively dry, but the second loop had, more than 70 runners covering the terrain, so things got a little muddy, a little slippery. I would say it was impossible to keep my feet dry for the rest of the race. We really pushed through, but that loop ended up taking me like 2 hours longer than the previous loop. Yeah, I finished that one in 7.5 hours.
Nice job. Nice job.
Go, go.
The black flies are out. Last time I was here, there was porcupine climbing these little trees. Don't see any today. A little over 50K in the Riverlands 100. Woo! This is what 40 miles is like of Riverlands 100. Woo!
Coming in off of 50 miles, I took a little bit longer than I would have liked, but you know what? It was necessary. I had to really get prepared because I was going into a nighttime loop. So I had to get my headlamp, waist lamp, I needed to get my poles, I got to pick up my pacer. Lauren was phenomenal, she had everything ready. Nikki, my pacer, was awesome. She grabbed me some food and she was making sure I was taken care of, and they even both recruited another relay runner to help out. So Frank was there, he let me use his chair, and he was holding some stuff for me, so it came together really nicely. The loop for itself, I was moving slow, but Nikki did a great job motivating me and keeping me moving. When I didn't want to run, she was like, come on, let's go for a little bit further, let's push it a little more. She caught me falling asleep a couple times, and she started to tell stories, and she just did great. It was her first time pacing, and I would have thought she had done it tons of times before. We did come across a couple runners that went off course, but we were able to get their attention, and they made it back onto the course, so that was pretty cool. And once we hit Conant, I changed my socks so I could have fresh feet. They were hurting a lot because of all the blisters, and we started to make our way back. So Loop 3 had taken me 9.5 hours, a little bit longer than I was hoping, especially with my time goals, but you know what? I was falling asleep a lot, and I wouldn't have been able to make it as far as I did without Nikki. When I came into the aid station, I wanted to get a nap in, but that wasn't going to be possible. So I changed my socks, I put on my spare pair of shoes, got another shirt going on, and before I knew it, I was on my way. Lauren really had gotten everything together, and just made that transition seamless. I was grateful for her to come out too, because that was like 3-4 in the morning. So the last loop, I threw on some headphones to just kind of get some music going and keep me motivated. I didn't have a pacer for the last loop. I was singing out loud. People were probably laughing at me, but it was helping out until it wasn't. And when it didn't, I ended up calling Lauren, and she spent a lot of time on the phone with me. You could say that she was pacing me by the phone and just telling me stories and keeping me distracted, and things got deep. I got into some dark places, started thinking about some tough stuff, some tough times in life, and it got really, really bad for a while. I convinced myself that I wasn't gonna make the cutoff at Conant, and Lauren was pushing me. She was telling me, you're gonna make it, you got plenty of time, you're moving fast. I had picked up the pace, more so running scared, but you know what? When I got into Conant, I was more than an hour ahead of cutoff, so that gave me a little bit of a boost. And same type of deal when I got to Middle Earth, I was more than an hour away from cutoff, so we were moving pretty good. I ended up climbing the ledges at a good pace, and then it was smooth sailing. I hit that downhill. Even though every step was super painful because of the blisters that had grown, I was in my element. Passing 5 runners in that last 5-mile section, and I was pushing the pace. My reaction when I came off of that final section and onto the ATV trail was, I'm gonna run 100 miles, and I was stoked. I just kept running it, and then you hit that final portion of that ATV trail and you see the parking lot road, and there was my wife, there was my daughter, my son, my mother-in-law. Everybody was waiting for me. And my son Miles, he ran up to me, he grabbed my hand, and he ran me in. And
go, Miles, go! Go with
I would say that was one of the proudest moments of my life, where I could do something that I thought was at one point impossible, and I could have my family surrounding me. So yeah, that's my Riverlands 100 recap. I hope you enjoyed what I've shared with you. If you're running this next year and you have any questions or want to talk about it, feel free to reach out, because I want you guys to get one of these too. That's the buckle, and it's my first one. and I'm hoping for more. I got 8 weeks till Vermont, but until then, I'm gonna keep riding this cloud of finishing Riverlands. Final time was 30 hours, 48 minutes, and 43 seconds. Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing, and I hope to catch you next week. Peace.